greenhouse gases that lead to climate change, when they accumulate in the atmosphere, mix in the atmosphere. And what that means is it doesn't matter where they come from. They're going to have the same damage. It doesn't matter if they come from New York or Beijing. What that means is that any individual jurisdiction, country, state, city, taking action will incur the cost of its actions, but the benefits of its actions will be distributed globally. That means that for virtually any jurisdiction, if it acts on its own, the benefits it receives will be smaller than the costs it pays. That's the nature of a global commons problem. That causes what economists call the Freerider issue. There's an incentive to wait for others to take action. Okay? So that's the first important message. That has to do with emissions. Okay? The second one is that this is a long-term phenomenon. The damages are not caused by the quantity of emissions at any point in time, but the stock that accumulates in the atmosphere. And these greenhouse gases come out of the atmosphere very slowly, decades to centuries. So the focus is on the amount of water in a bathtub. The faucet is running, but even if you turn off the faucet today, because that drain is so slow, there's going to be climate change. It's going to happen. So that's the second key issue. The third important takeaway is that because of the challenges, because it's going to be costly to cut greenhouse gases, because energy use is so pervasive in economies, because of that, there's a lot of political resistance to taking action. And there have been a lot of delays, although I think there's progress at the international level, and there have been delays domestically, although the U.S. is doing more than I think most people tend to realize. That said, climate change is going to take place. And so the fourth important takeaway from this is that climate change is going to take place. That means that adaptation is going to be necessary. And unlike what I said about mitigation, is that it fundamentally has to be organized at the international level and that nations have to be running it. Adaptation, you pay the costs and you get the benefits. And that means, importantly, that it is appropriate. In many cases, it should be exclusively locales that are focused on the problem. Furthermore, interacting with that is the fact there's tremendous uncertainty here. So what the damages will be? Lots of uncertainty. I mean, how many people could predict the weather today, 1 year from now, on this date? Okay? While we're talking about predicting the weather 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years out. Huge uncertainty. There's also uncertainty in terms of what policies will be in place to cut emissions. So what that tells us then is the combination of all that uncertainty with the fact that adaptation should be local. That's the bullseye of this conference. That's what the conference is about. Local policies at the regional level, at the state level, at the city level for adaptation to climate change, for protecting essential infrastructure.